welcome. Shalom, family. Shalom, everybody. YouTube, TikTok, podcast, Facebook, my IG, everybody. Thanks for being on today. We appreciate your presence. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to worship with us, to study with us, to continue down this series. We're going down the Revelation Revisited series, where we're revisiting what we had already gone over before in the prior YouTube channel that was taken down, and to be able to go over some great things. Shalom, Sister Rebecca, Terry, Swan, how you doing? Minister Tamara, Sister Tracy, Sister Betty, Benjamin. Thanks for the love, by the way, already. T, Breezy. I think I said Benjamin. If not, hello, Miss Mac, Brother Dennis, on multiple platforms. No problem. I'll try to reach out again to you. Sister Beverly Moto, Morel, Sister Barbara. Oh, I need to send you a recording too, Sister Barbara. How you doing? Perfectly imperfect. Of course, my wife is on the Honorable Mind, who lives a life that's able to be honored. Sister Ostrom. Amen. And we wanted to contact your Sister Deborah. I think I saw you pop in there. And thank you to everybody once again for being on with us. We appreciate it. Thanks for spending some time with us as we continue to go through this series. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in Yahshua's sight. He is our strength and our Redeemer. And it's in His Shem, which is His name, His authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect this message. Amen. Amen. Once again, giving all praise and honor to the Most High, Yahweh Elohim. It's in, or Atshem, Yahweh, Atshem, Yahshua Hamashiach, Atshem Ruach HaKodesh, that we come before you today. We're thankful and grateful to be before you one more again, and give Him honor and glory and praise, and give His revelation. Once again, it's not a revelation. This is not everybody's revelation. This is not necessarily a revelation for everybody. We give honor and praise to the Most High, Yahweh Elohim, for my wife, the Honorable Maya, who lives a life that's able to be honored. She's a healer. She's a herbalist. She's a chemist. She's a biologist by degree, by the way. She also is somebody who helps the community and does so through ChangingLinesInitiative.org. You can follow her, though, at BloomNFlourish. Not A-N-D, but the letter N, BloomNFlourish. You can follow her on TikTok, YouTube, her website, Pinterest, and of course, she gives tinctures and different things to help us heal naturally with natural medicine. The tincture of the month is this mucus detox. There you see it, the mucus detox, right? If you'd like to get more information on that, just let us know. It's the tincture of the month. With instructions even on it, to be able to tell you how often you need to take it on a regular basis, or as directed. If you have something specific going on, you can talk to her about it. And so we're excited and grateful and thankful. That's the tincture this month, coming out of the tincture last month, which is I Am Immune, which there's still some of, which precedes the tincture for the month before that. I'm forgetting the name of that one. Oh, no, that was ginkgo. And, of course, she has many different other types of tinctures. Even sometimes has stuff like syrup or different things as far as that as well. Things that you can incorporate in your everyday life to be able to use and have something healthy and still have some great taste and things. Okay. Hey, Minister Kevin, how you doing? You said you need some of that. Just let us know. All right. And also, I guess I'll do a little bit of on the live, or well, I won't talk about too much business, but we need to reach out to each other. Maybe we can do so on Thursday. I think Thursdays usually work best for you, so we can catch up on some things and make sure we're prepared for things going on. Thank you for taking time out. I know you're a very busy man as well, and so we don't take it lightly that you would join us today, or anybody would join us today. As we're speaking and doing our little introductions and a couple of quick announcements and stuff, please make sure, if you would like to go ahead and get a head start, you can turn to your Bibles with us to Revelation chapter 17. That's where we're going to be focusing on today. Revelation chapter 17. Hello, Fogg. How you doing? Tony. Hey, Shalom. Cleveland in the house. All right. Thank you for the amen. I see you, Ransom. I see you, Brother Clem. I see you, Big Brother Thomas. I think I said hello to Sister Tracy. Y'all ain't tired yet? Cool water. Juana, thank you, by the way, for the gifts and the likes of the shares and all the things you guys are already giving already. We appreciate it. So we're going to get ready to jump into this. Thanks, babe. Appreciate it. So we're going to get ready to jump into these lessons, these sessions. Also, too, don't forget you can join us on Patreon to be able to help $5 a month, which helps us do a lot of great things, get you different things that other people don't have access to. I'm working on doing some series work as well, so you might be getting 5 to 10 minutes now, 5 minutes of something I have random, and then, or not at random, but just something I see throughout the day, or let talk about it. Then we'll maybe have a series that we're going to start just for you guys as well. And then of course we try to put a little bit of pictures and things to kind of show you some things going on in our personal walk as well. Shalom from Washington, Pennsylvania. Okay, shalom. How you doing? Right, we got a few people in Pennsylvania. We're gonna have to have a little Pennsylvania crew at some point. Just Pennsylvania by itself, at the rate we seem to be grabbing people up in Pennsylvania. Nevertheless, though, we're thankful, we're grateful, we're excited for everything that's going on. Shalom, Minister Anais, Sister Shima, to everybody in here. We're thankful and grateful. So once again, we're going to Revelation chapter 17. We give thanks and honor for each and every one of you. We appreciate all of you. We appreciate our family, our friends, Yashra'al, Yashra'al, right? We're going to rise up. We're going to continue to do these studies. Don't forget that every Monday we have our early rise of Bible study on Zoom only. If you want to join us for that, that's at 6:45 a.m. Eastern. I'm on at 6:30, but if you'd like to join us for when the teaching starts 6:45 a.m., we're on every rising 8 a.m. Eastern New York time, live on TikTok, live on the podcast, live on IG, live on Facebook. Right now, we don't quite have enough people on YouTube to go live yet. We're getting closer and closer and closer. But yeah, so we're going to continue to go through these things. Okay, we're praying for Texas. I need to check on Texas. I'm not even aware of what's going on in Texas weather-wise. I didn't know something was going on. And I got something hanging from my tunic. I didn't know. Oh, well, from another piece of clothing. All right, I need to check my stuff out. Anyways, thankful and grateful for you all for being on with us. We're excited. We're getting back into this Revelation Revisited series. Continue to go down the same road that we've been going down. We're thankful and grateful for you all. Hello, shalom, Sister Shantae, everybody, DNB. If I didn't get a chance to say your name yet, just please forgive me. But, we have love for you. We appreciate you. I'm a human being, so chalk it up to my flesh sometimes not being, or not sometimes, never being as perfect as my spirit. And, of course, me not being Elohim, but just know that we appreciate you all. We're thankful for you all. We're grateful for you all. That being said, I'm sorry. A couple just last quick announcements. February 4th, which is this Friday, please, ma'am, please, sir, feel free to go into the community and be a blessing to somebody. We do that every first Friday as a group. You don't have to tell me anything about it. Just go out and be a blessing to somebody. February 12th is going to be coming up. YLP 83 meeting, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time. February 19th, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time, we're going to be having our men's meeting. February 26th, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time, we're going to be having our women's meeting. March 6th, we're going to start getting the leaven out of our homes for, leading up to Passover. April 11th, about April 8th is when we're going to start doing weekly activities in the evening to make sure we're getting ready. We have some festivities set up and everything to get us ready for Passover. By February 11th, you're going to need to make sure that you have your lamb chosen. February 12th at the very latest. February 18th, I said February, sorry. Let me get that back on track. March 6th. So April 8th, we're going to start our festivities. April 11th or April 12th, you need to make sure you have your lamb selected. April 15th will be the actual day of Passover. April 22nd will be celebrated on the last day of the week following Passover, the feast of the week of unleavened bread, right? And then by April 23rd, the very next day, those of you who are interested in meeting up together physically, we need to know for sure, right? Even if you don't know for sure yet, don't tell us you're coming if you're not coming, right? You can tell us later, but for sure, by April 23rd, we need to know if you're going to meet up with us later this year. We were planning on meeting up October 14th through the 16th. You can reach out to us for more information on that, and we will get you that information pronto. If for some reason you're saying, hey, how can I reach out to you? You can look up ways to be able to get in contact with us through our TikTok page. If you're on YouTube, if you're on the podcast, if you're on Facebook, if you're on IG, just simply look up our stuff and series we've been doing and look in the comment section on one of our recorded videos, and you will be able to get information on how to get in touch with us. Once again, we're planning on meeting October 14th through the 16th. We have about 8 months to prepare for that, so whatever you need to do, please make sure that you need to do that for 8 months later. We're planning on meeting together, and even if it's only a few of us, we look forward to it. If it's 100 plus of us, we're looking forward to it. We're planning things out now. We're thankful and grateful for everybody doing what they do. Alrighty, and hopefully after today I have a meeting with one of our ministers. Actually, I'm trying to have a meeting with quite a few of our ministers, but I hope to have a meeting with one of our ministers Minister Anais. Well, we have it scheduled already, and one of the things I'm going to try and get today, because I keep talking about it but we haven't done it, is we're going to try and set up this prayer meeting. Right, so that'll be something we'll start talking about as well for those who'd like to join up in prayer on a regular basis or have prayers and want to make your petitions known. We're going to work on getting that stuff together. All right, amen. All right, so I think we got all that out the way. I think we're good on that. I think we're great on that. I think we've got all that together. We recognize what we need to do as far as that. For more information on that, just let us know. We'll do a whole recap of all those instructions and things later on. All right. So I think all of us are in the same level. Is most of that stuff that I said on the calendar? It sure is. Is all of it on there? No, not as of yet. But pretty much everything that we said is on the calendar. Once again, though, for more information, let us know. And we will get to you ASAP. All right. Okay. So, amen. Count it to my head, or not to my heart, right? DMB, all praise and due to him. Alrighty. So we're back in the Revelation series. We're going to be focusing on Revelation chapter 17 today. We have, if you've missed stuff, if you're coming on today, if you have something, we literally have everything. I messed up on one thing that I'm going to have to try and record from the podcast and bring on to YouTube. But pretty much every single series, I think, except for yesterday, every part of it is up and loaded. All right. So, and all the classes, we've been having issues with stuff. People don't know how long it takes to upload this stuff. But nevertheless, every single thing is uploaded. People who need recordings for classes, those are uploaded. Oh, I didn't even mention classes. We started classes, by the way. Classes are Hebrew characters, basic Hebrew, sovereignty 1, sovereignty 2, natural medicine 2, basic French, cryptocurrency. All right. So you can join up for classes too. Those are on Zoom, and we can give you information regarding that. They just started on Monday. We're going to be doing this next 8 weeks straight of the first semester of 2022. I'm sorry. Okay. Amen. All right. Amen. You said Facebook seems to have a lag on it. I don't know what's going on. I apologize. Hopefully you guys can see it's all right. Shalom, Alexis. Shalom, Lori. St. Louis. Okay. Amen. We need to add you. Is it, well, if it's all right, Lori, or if you want to, just send us a message on Messenger if you can, and let us know if you'd like to be added to our list of people to make sure that we're contacting, and we can make sure we send that out to the people contacting in our Central South region of the United States of America. We got somebody from Cali who just reached out or just started being with us too. I'm not sure who it is. Remind me if you can. Actually, I don't even know if you told me. I just looked up the zip code of the number. It's like well, I don't want to say your number out publicly, but long story short, if you want us to add you to a list, we don't really have a California place yet, because before we could set up the stuff on TikTok, we had the first and second page on TikTok pretty much obliterated at the same time, so we weren't able to set that up and get those numbers. So if you'd like to be a participant, we could make sure that we put you under somebody else and they can check on you for us. All right. So just reach out to us, let us know. I'll try to remember, but like I said, if you can send me a message, because the whole thing is telling me on the live, I may or may not get back to you. All right. Okay. Here we go. Revelation. So to start off with, this is not everyone's revelation, right? And this is not a revelation for everyone, right? This is not everyone's revelation, and this is not a revelation for who? For everyone. So there are a lot of people who are going to tell you all these different things about revelation, and are going to want us to do this, that, the third. And the reality is, once again, this is not everyone's revelation, and this is not a revelation for everybody. So my goal on here, Shalom, Chef, how you doing? My goal on here is not to make sure that everybody's going to agree with every single word that I say. My goal on here is not to make sure that everybody's going to, feel like they have to go with everything that's said, whatever. My goal on here is to make sure that we give you things from a cultural perspective, right? The kingdom. And revelation, by the way, revelation, revelation, Tion makes it a noun, a person, place, or thing. And revel means to rejoice. Therefore, it is a person, right? The person of Yahshua, and we, the people of Yahshua, right, are rejoicing, reveling. It is the place. There's a spiritual place, even physical places we need to start working on to ensure that we can revel and rejoice together, right? And then what? It is a thing. There's some things that should be changing in your lives, right? Due to this series, due to coming together, due to being Yashra'al. I dare I say should be a blessing because of who I represent in the kingdom, right? And you should feel like that about yourselves as well, right? We should be reveling, rejoicing. And so, but it's not a revelation or a thing, a person, a place, or things to rejoice in. Hey, Jay, how you doing? Jay185. It's not a place of rejoicing for everybody, right? It's not a place of rejoicing for what? For who? For everybody. Not every single person is going to be rejoicing, right? Not every single person is going to be rejoicing in this. Not every single place is going to be rejoicing in this. Not every single thing is going to be able to be a thing we can rejoice over. Why? Because Revelation chapter 1, verse 1 says this is a revelation of Yahshua Hamashiach, right? And it's a revelation to those who serve Yahshua. It's a revelation that comes from Elohim. And Revelation chapter 1, verse 3 tells us that it is that those who are blessed by it will read it, right? Will hear this revelation. They will also keep it. All right. Yeah, people had us scared of Revelation at one point. Amen, Sister Sonia, right? So we are now rejoicing in Revelation because of what we now know that it means, and we know how to operate in it, and we know how to use it with practical value versus it being some kind of mystical value. Matter of fact, this word mystery is going to pop up again in Revelation chapter 17, right? So we're dealing with what? We're dealing with a revelation that's for a particular people, that's coming from a particular kingdom, from a particular person, from a particular cultural point of view, and we're looking for cultural indicators to help us and bless us along the way to ensure that we're getting what the Most High wants for us to receive out of this, right? And so we see Yohanan on the Isle of Patmos still keeping what they call the Lord's Day, which to us translates to Shabbat, which means that either it is what we would say is a Saturday, Yom Shabbat, right? Or it would be something that we would call what? We would call it a holy day. All holy days are treated as Shabbat. So the Lord's Day, I know everybody, there's some people, see, this is when you got to get into law. Some people don't like law. Shalom, Ko, how you doing? And so some people be on this whole thing. Oh, well, the Most High, every day is the Lord's Day. That's how people get into, Christmas. You'll hear them, they'll say stuff like, well, I celebrate Christmas, but every day is about Christ. So I'm just making this about Christ too. See, making this day about Christ rather than this is the day that Christ or Yahweh has made, or that Adon has made, the Lord has made. They're like, I'm going to make this day, and then I'm going to just, shoehorn the Lord into it, right? So, if you can't physically come, we'll have some stuff that'll be on Zoom. Most definitely. Some of the stuff will just be the stuff we're going to do traveling together as a group. Maybe we'll post some of that, pieces of those things together, but some of the stuff will be available on Zoom for sure. But getting back to this, so we're dealing with a system in which what? We're dealing with a system that is separate from others. It is holy, it is whole, it is secure as one, it is sacred, it is set apart as well, right? It is set apart. It is set apart. It is something that is for a holy nation, a peculiar people, a chosen generation, and a royal priesthood, set apart, right? And so Yohanan is doing things that these people who are set apart do, and he's keeping the law, right? He's in a position where this is the Lord's Day. There's this particular way you treat Shabbat, or a particular way you treat these holy days, right? And so he's making sure that he's keeping in line with the holy days. He's being lawful. He's letting the law that protects our rights guide us and keep us close to our unalienable rights. The second that you decide to go against the law, you break contract. When you break contract that you sign, it means that you no longer are protected by that contract. When you break that contract, now your rights are not protected, and therefore they become alienable, or they become able to be immigrated from you, right? Literally, to be immigrated, to be taken out of you, and to be given to somebody else, because your rights don't just disappear. If you give up your rights, somebody has the right to control you. That's why we talk about so much self-control. If I take away self out of the picture, if I don't teach you about yourself, your culture, your spirituality, the mysteries, etc., and I just take that away, the only thing left is control. Somebody will control. When they take away self, they can do whatever they want with that, but they still have control over you. And then they'll reintroduce a sense of self, but it's not self. It's this closed-minded thing they fit in to their control. But when I have sense of self and then control, when I realize that the Most High does not even control me, but he allows me to have free will, now I'm in a different mindset, right? Accountability allows me to be free. Accountability allows me to speak to people and say, you will not tell me what to do because I'm accountable for myself. It allows me to speak to a public servant and let them know, right, that I am the master and you are the public servant, right? So this self-accountability, right? You said, why would somebody else have control? Because there are people out there, as Revelation teaches us in Revelation chapter 6, verses 1 and 2, that there are people out there that conquer just for conquering's sake. Sometimes you don't even need to have a why. Sometimes for some of these people, we have a why because we understand vision. A lot of people do stuff without vision. So if you give up your free will, somebody's will going to take over. That's just the way it works. That's the way of the universe. That's universal law, natural law. Right? Somebody's going to govern you. Either it's going to be self-government, and where's the kingdom? Inside self. So you can allow the self, the kingdom, to be fused with self, so that inside of self is a governing body, or you can allow somebody from the outside to control you, right? And that's what we're dealing with. Revelation chapter 2 and 3 are the 7 assemblies. The first assembly, you got to figure out who Yahweh is. Hey, how you doing, Sister Cassandra? You got to figure out who Yahweh is. Right? The second, that's the assembly of Ephesus. The second assembly of Smyrna, you got to figure out who the chosen people are. Right? The third assembly of Pergamos, you got to make sure that you comprehend, hey, who are, you got to understand that there's doctrine against the chosen people, and there's this Old New Testament doctrine of Balaam, doctrine of the Nicolaitans. Revelation chapter 4, the fourth assembly rather, in Revelation chapter 2, the fourth assembly, we're dealing with the assembly of Thyatira, idol worship. When you don't know who you are, you don't know whose you are, and you don't know there's doctrine that's meant to rip you apart, you're going to be messed up, right? Fifth assembly, that starts Revelation chapter 3, the assembly of Sardis. We need to make sure that we read, that everything we received and heard is something that we keep, we stand watch over. The sixth assembly, the assembly of Philadelphia, we as brethren, brotherly love, brotherly action, brotherly achabach, right? The love of the brothers, right? The love of the brethren, the love of a family. We need to make sure that we are, this is six, we need to make sure that we are in position to teach and realize who we are through Yahshua Hamashiach, his sacrifice, and him having the key of David. The seventh assembly, hey, I wish you were hot or cold. Definitely don't be lukewarm. And really, we want to be what? Hot on fire, right? And we'll see this hot on fire things come up. Jetso and Andre, sure, you can ask a question. We're in Revelation, though, focusing on chapter 17. So if you want to, you can put in the question mark box. If I don't get to it right away, I'll come back to it. But if it's something that might take us a little away from where we are going into today, if you don't mind being a little patient with me. So we have all these different things going on. Right now we get to Revelation. Then we went into Daniel chapter 2 and Daniel chapter 7 to make sure that we comprehend this is not a one-off, right? So we went to Daniel chapter 2 and Daniel chapter 7. We talked about Ezekiel 1 and 2 a lot and all these different places, Genesis, Exodus, etc., right? And so as we continue to go through this series, as we continue to flow through, then we get to Revelation chapter 4. Revelation chapter 4 is dealing with what's on the other side of Rakia, right? Then we go from Revelation Rakia over to Revelation chapter 5. Who is worthy to open up the scroll, to take the seals off the scroll, right? Revelation chapter 6 now starts talking about the 4 horsemen, those who have been slain, right? These are seals, by the way. So the first assembly is the first horseman, right? The one for conquering's sake. The second assembly, the second seal is the second horseman, the one that makes sure that he takes away your peace so that you fight one another. The third horseman is going to be the one that comes with the third seal. He's the one that's going to mess with your food and mess with how you are able to spend money, etc. Right? Fourth horseman is the one that's coming out and dealing with pestilence, sickness, causing death, all these things like that. The fifth seal opens up. Those are the people who are martyrs that are waiting for the Most High to go ahead and come and there be some kind of recompense on their behalf. The sixth seal is opened up, and then everything seems to go crazy, and everybody says, "Who shall be able to stand?" That's the last question of Revelation chapter 6. Revelation chapter 7 takes us to a place where all of a sudden we open up and see. We say, "Wait a minute." There seems to be some winds. The answer hasn't been answered yet. There's some destructive winds coming. There's 4 angels on each corner of the earth holding back the destructive winds. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. There's a 5th angel that's going to come and say, "Hold on before you destroy everybody," because the question was asked, who's going to be able to stand? Time out, time out. Wait a minute. There have to be some people that are first sealed and taken care of, right? They have to be tubbed. They have to have a mark put on their foreheads, which we'll later see. They start talking about this mark is coming from the name or the authority of the Most High, Yahweh, right? And we look at who are the people that must be sealed. 12 tribes of Yashra'al, right? 12 representing kingdom, establishment, 12 tribes, right? You have 1,000 times 1,000. 1,000 in Scripture is always crucial, because 1,000 in Scripture is talking about when 2 people come together, how many people they can defeat as long as they come together in the name of Yahweh. Right, where 2 or 3 are gathered, I shall also be in their midst, to say where the Most High, where if you and another person come together, right, then the Most High, the third person, shows up and we are all together, right? Now we have that going into a mindset of even, hey, 2 people together, they can give flight to how many? 1,000, right? Just by themselves, 2 people come together to give flight to 1,000. So 12, the number of kingdom, right? 2, being in agreement, 1,000 giving flight to devils, to demons, to fighting them, right? Now we're in it, right? So we have 144,000 that comes up into where Israel's coming together to make sure that we give flight to demons and to devils and things that are against the kingdom. These people must be sealed. Getting into now, after that, getting into that, once Israel is sealed, it says now the others can be grafted in from all kindreds, nations, tongues, etc. Right? So we're not one of these groups of people. At least we're not. There are some that do this, but we don't believe that just because we're black we get in, and just because you're white you can't get in. That's not biblical. Anybody teaching that, that's not biblical. Even if you want to talk about Esau, Esau's your brother. So guess what? He still would be considered to be what? Avda, or what you would call Hebrew, whether you like it or not. Right? Now that's not what the Bible necessarily says, that Esau is white. But that's where people go, right? So, it says he's red or he's ready. Well, guess what? Adam, who we would know of today as black, he was so red that he was considered to be dark, black, rich nutrient, right? Like some people would say that I have some kind of shade of red. Matter of fact, people who are considered to be extremely black and dark, sometimes you might see in the sunlight shades of red off them, right? So just because you got to be careful with people, right? We have this whole stuff where people go into, right? Your salvation, we don't believe is based off of your color. We believe that Israel is Israel, so that might have something to do with your color. If the Bible talks about their color, to make sure we comprehend what the lineage is. But we don't believe that we're greater than everybody just because we're black, because even Romans chapter 9 verse 6 tells us that not all Israel is Israel. We still have to follow the law and the words and the ways of the Most High as well, and still can be judged and found wanting if we're not careful. All right, so here we go into that Revelation chapter 6. Revelation chapter 7, rather. We've gone through Revelation chapter 8. We start getting into now, all these different things that are happening, these trumpets and everything. We start getting into the woes, Revelation, and, we know that we're in the 6th woe. We're the 6th trumpet, the 2nd woe, going into the 7th trumpet, the 3rd woe. Revelation chapter 10, we start dealing with the angel now that looks like the Most High, has the promise of the Most High, has John eat the word, and that's going to cause John to be in the same position as that angel. We go to Revelation 11, we start dealing with the olive trees. These olive trees are Moses and Elijah. We talk about, once again, this same thing that keeps popping up in what people call Old Testament, New Testament, right? And we keep seeing this whole thing. Hello, how are you doing, Ashun? Thanks for being on with us, right? And so you have all these different things that are going on, right? And continuing to move and continuing to grow and continuing to flow. It's a continued conversation. It's not a one-off. We keep doing this weird thing where it's a one-off. It's not a one-off, right? There's a continued conversation that's been going on throughout the entire Tanakh. By the way, I can't remember who. Somebody asked me the other day about the Tanakh or the Torah. Doesn't that, somebody was saying it's only 5 books. Yeah, it depends on their belief system. If you're talking about somebody who is trying to say that they have the only Bible, the only doctrine, everything has to be based on 5 books, and they'll say that the Tanakh or the Torah is only 5 books, and then they'll start getting the Talmud or other things to try and complete the picture, right? So we have to make sure that we continue to move forward in that, right? And think about those things. Shalom, Brother TJ. So once again, not a one-off, continue conversation, right? Not our story, not his story, our story, right? So we can look up these things and everything. 1,260 years. We talked about that. We talked about Kemet, Assyria, Babylon, Medo-Persians, Greece, Rome, and the Roman Catholic Church. And we're going to get back into that today, right? We even went after that. We talked about Revelation chapter 12, how Satan, he's sending the people towards the Most High. He can't get to the Yashra'al, so he's trying to attack Israel. Israel is already sealed off. We're starting to come to ourselves. So now what he's trying to do. He's trying to pick off remnants, people that aren't together. He's trying to pick them off, which is why we always must have unity across the diaspora, right? Then he says from there, okay, well now I'm standing, I'm standing in the people, just like the angel was, and I'm also standing in the Word. And I have the word that the angel had that came from Yahshua, his revelation. I now ate it, right? It's inside of me. It's something that I should be speaking to the people, right? Now we get into the government, the beast, and that government and how it messes with people. We talked about the Antichrist spirit, that Nebuchadnezzar spirit, 666 or 603 not 666, but 603 the number of a name, the number of a Shem, the number of an authority. We wrote it out, right, and sent that to everybody. Well, not sent it, but we wrote it out. Maybe you took screenshots, things like that. It's on YouTube, so you should be able to look that up, right? I can't remember what part that is. I want to say it's probably part 16 of the series, if you want to go look for it. So then from there, we went from that to dealing with Revelation 14 and us coming together and us making sure we understand where we are. And now we starts getting into the Song of Moses. And we got into Revelation, the whole chapter 15 altogether. We just finished chapter 16 yesterday, where we talked about the wrath, the vials, right, coming from the wine press, Luke 6:37 and 38, and really going back, I think, to verse 25. All these different things coming together, which gets us to today, Revelation chapter 17. Revelation chapter 17. Folks, as I was always taught, the Torah was the first 5 books. It is the whole canon. Yeah, the Tanakh is anything that's the word of Yah. The Tanakh or Torah, it literally just means the guide, right? The guide, or I guess its most basic definition would be the guide. So if you're somebody that believes that the Pentateuch, that's what it really is, the Pentateuch or the Pentateuch, if you believe, right, that's the 5 books. Now, at one point for Israel, that might have been the Tanakh, because that was all you had, the books of Moses, right? But as we continue to add on, right, you would have more than that. That's why people don't make this distinction. People will say that there's only 613 laws, not realizing that everything king decrees is law. So there's an extreme amount of laws. We don't stop at 613, or some people want to go to 660s, 670s, whatever, because everything decreed by the Most High is a law, or it's repeated law, the whole Bible. Or even past the Bible, if you want to go into apocryphal things and things of that nature, like you're dealing with nothing but decrees. Right? If it's the word of Yah, then it's the guide. It's the Terach. It's the word. It's the Zirach. So we shouldn't, be, but a lot of people we've been limited. Once again, that's Nicolaitan doctrine type thing. Well, what we deemed is the Terach. That's all that there is. We're not going to take anything else. Well, time out. There's other books. There's other scrolls. There's epistles. There's letters. Right? There's still people writing things led by the Spirit today, that if it's in accordance with the word, we should still look at it. That's why the Bible tells us that you are living epistles. I believe, is that the book of Acts? Might not be the book of Acts. I always quote the wrong place, so forgive me. But there's a scripture that says you are living epistles. That means that your life is a recording, at least should be a recording of Terah, of the word. Somebody should be looking at your life and reading the word of Yah. Somebody should be looking at your life and hearing the word of Yah. Somebody should be receiving it just by your life. Let your light shine, therefore, before men. Why are you letting your light shine before? Because your light is the closest thing to the terach, or the word, that a lot of people are going to get. Some people gone to assemblies their whole lives and have never received the word. Right? Your life is a word. Right? Your life is a word. Grand Rising 221. Your life. Hey, how you doing? 88. 888. Right? Your life is a word. So let your life shine before men. The way that you live, the way that you operate. That's revelation too. That's why you need to know revelation, so you can represent. People always talk about this, right? Especially, we're Afrocentric and stuff, and we should be, because Yashra'al is African. We're mixed. So even those people who try to do this weird thing of separating the Moors and separating Israel from everybody else, you mixed. You're the same people. And the Moors were just nothing but people who came from out of Al-Qabalan, Africa, Ethiopia, Kemet, Kush, whichever place you want to try to identify a whole continent of people, which really is, whichever one you want to use, they all went. So even when we talk about them scattering, see, we only think about scattering as far as that one place. We scattered knowledge throughout the place, right? So you got to recognize this. Once again, this is not a one-off. But this is one reason why it's not everyone's revelation, and it's not a revelation for everybody, because a lot of people would like this to fit into a nice, neat box so that it can be their revelation. It's not yours. It's not mine. It is the revelation of Yahshua Hamashiach. You said that you should write books. Yeah, we're behind on books. We were supposed to have a bunch of books out last year. And we still have some of them there, but it's, we're behind on getting them out. So nevertheless, you said, what is the real name of God and the one they call Jesus? Yahweh, Elohim. God is a different deity. God's a Germanic deity. We worship Elohim. Elohim is his name is Yahweh. Some people would argue Yahweh. Some people would argue Yahuwah. Some people would argue Yahweh or Yahweh, Yahweh instead of Yahweh. Yahweh is what we say. I'm not here to, as long as the main thing is the main thing, right? At certain points we're getting into dialects arguments more so than actual language. And the name of the one that they call Yesu or Yesus, or now called Jesus, his name is Yahshua, or some people say Yeshua, Yahweh but Yashra'al. All right. So that being, all those things being said, now we're into Revelation chapter 17. All right. Amen. We need to be representatives of the Most High. So now we're getting into Revelation 17. Thank you for being on. Thank you for your questions. Right. So, yeah, I have some people say Ahaya, which we talked about that already in questions and answers portion of this, I believe, because Ahaya is not even coming from the correct chapter to address his name, things of that nature. So, we have a lot of different things we should talk about. Nevertheless, let's get into this word for today, right? And Revelation 17, so it starts off by saying, and there came, Revelation chapter 17, verse 1, I'm coming from the King James Version. It says, and there came one of the seven angels, right? So there came one of the seven. Doesn't tell us which one, so we don't know if this is the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. It's important that we know it's one of the angels that carried the wrath of the Most High. So one of the seven angels came, which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, come hither. So come here, come over here. And what? I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. Strong language. Right? Now, a lot of people will argue as soon as we see this that this must be Jezebel, because it talked about a Jezebel spirit with the fourth assembly, the assembly of Thyatira. So since it talks about this fourth assembly dealing with this Jezebel spirit who says that she's a prophetess, but really she's just a plain old woman and messing people up. And because there's similarities, because they're both attached to the beast, the government, we have this weird thing that happens where people say this woman must be Jezebel, but this is not a Jezebel. There might be Jezebel spirits within this, but we're going to find out that the Most High is going to, right? Yahshua knew, hey, I need to make sure that they comprehend who this woman is, because there's going to be a lot of confusion concerning this woman, right? So we got to make sure we realize who this woman is. And so we're actually going to see this written out. That's why I've told you, I don't need to give a prophetic word concerning this, because this word is prophetic. I don't need to add to it. The Bible says, we'll see this later on in Revelation, anyone who adds to this word will have plagues added to them. Anyone who takes away from this word will have their name removed from the book of life. I'm not trying to have that happen. So I don't need to add to it and tell you the prophecy and this is what the Lord has said. No. This is a prophetic word. Anybody who's here to tell you, I got a prophetic word about a prophetic word. You hear what I'm saying? Right? This is all like, let's stop making this mystical. A mystery. Mysteries are designed to be revealed. So let's stop keeping this a mystery instead of revealing what the mystery is. And the Most High has revealed it for us. So we don't have to take the spiritual and make it so mystical. We can take the spiritual and cause the mystical to become practical. Right? So there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials. That's the wrath of the Most High. And he talked with Yohanan, with John. And he said to him, come over here. And he was going to show him the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, right? That sitteth upon, what does water represent? In visions and dreams and things like of that nature, prophetic word in Hebrew culture and language, right? It always is referring to the people. So she sits upon many people. What does this whore sit upon? She sits upon, all right, or she sitteth upon many people. Many people are underneath her, right? Many people are what? Many people are what? Sitting underneath her. Right? So that's why we have what? When we're in the world, Revelation chapter 12, verse 18, foot in the world, in the water, right? The people. And then at the same time, foot on the solid earth, the sands of the sea, the word of Yah, right? When we're dealing with both, we have to make sure we're attached to the word, like the angel was in Revelation chapter 10. And like John would eat that word and therefore now himself be in the same position, because we're supposed to give this message so that those who are in the system and might want to be solid earth can come out of it. Now, remember, see, cultural things. I'm going to use non-Hebrew words, but I just want, or non-Hebrew names, but I want you guys to get what I'm saying, because you guys know these people by these names. When you're dealing with the Apostle Peter, right? The Apostle Peter, his original name, right, non-Hebrew name, but nevertheless, his original name that you see in there is he's referred to as Simon. And then he's later known as Simon Peter. Now, his original name, Simon, means leafy. His original authority, he was authorized to be leafy. What does that mean? That when the wind blew, he shook like a leaf. Right? But when he became more solid in the Most High and started hearing the Holy Spirit, he became what? Peter. He became solid. So you'll see whenever Simon Peter does something wrong, or he's in his flesh or doing some wild stuff, right? What you'll hear and you'll see, Shalom, Henry, how you doing? What you'll see from Peter is that when Peter is all over, is doing some wild stuff, Yashra'al calls him Simon. He says, man, you're not authorized to be anything but leafy right now by your actions and your activity. Right? But when he does things that are righteous, he calls him Peter, because he's solid. Peter, like the small stone, a small, hard stone. So Simon Peter is a reference to something that in Hebrew is something that's near and dear to us as far as mindset. Whenever we're in something that is of the world, it's liquid, it's soft, it can be maneuvered. Right? The water, the people that are the water are the people that can easily be spewed out Satan's mouth. Even it talks about in Revelation chapter 12 to do whatever he wants them to do. But whenever you're dealing with us being solid in the word, right? Now all of a sudden, when you got that foundation that's on something solid, now all of a sudden you're Peter. You are somebody who's worthy. You are hardened. You are more solid. You're more mature. You can't be just, you can't do the same thing with a rock that you can with water. You can't drink a rock, So you have to be in a specific place to think about that, right? You have to be in a position in a specific place. This is a mentality thing, right? This is cultural. And because we've had so much cultural misappropriation, we miss this. So it says that these people in these waters have this great whore that sits on her, right? I'm gonna have to be careful how many times I use the word, because somebody would probably, TikTok might, I don't know, they might try to ban us. But you know what I'm talking about if I say something different from time to time and don't keep using that word. Y'all with me though, right? So we've read it out. That's Revelation chapter 17, verse 1. Right? And he says, I'm going to show judgment unto this person that's sitting on top of the waters. Now, this woman that's sitting on top of the waters, remember, in heaven, there's neither male nor female. So when it says woman, it's talking about a feminine spirit, but it doesn't mean that men or you males can't carry feminine spirit. It's just right. Just like that Ankh principle, you can have a masculine and feminine spirit. Matter of fact, you should be in tune with the masculine and feminine inside of you, right? But it doesn't mean, still though, you'll have, if you're a male, you're going to tend to have what? More masculine spirit than feminine, right? And if you're a female, you're going to tend to have more feminine spirit than masculine. Nevertheless, though, in heaven, there's neither male nor female, right? So we got to get that together. We're not looking, it's describing her as a woman so that we can get what's going on, right? But it doesn't mean that she's an actual woman, all right? And so Revelation 17, verse 2, with whom the king, so with whom what? With this great WHOR, you know what? With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, right? They've committed what? Fornication. So they're not even in contract. See, because if they had committed adultery, it would have meant they were married. It would have meant they were married to the Most High. So this is not talking about Israel, because Israel is not one of the 7 heads, is it? Israel is not one of the 10 horns, for those who've been with us long enough, right? Israel is the woman up to herself that went to another place. So it says these kings of the earth have committed fornication. Now remember, when you're dealing with kings prophetically are talking about a physical king, like one person, and also it's talking about a kingdom, because a king cannot be a king without a kingdom, and a kingdom cannot be a kingdom without a king. Or if you want to put in there, queendom, right, and a queen. Right? But you can't have a kingdom if you don't have a king. You can't have a king if you don't have a kingdom. And that's why we got to be separate from the world, because you're sitting here, they're lying to you, even though there's kings behind the throne anyways, but they're telling you that a president is not a king, and you think that you're voting them in, when reality is that presidents are heads of states. Heads of states are emperors. Heads of states are monarchs. Heads of states are kings and queens. So you can't be a head of state without being a monarch, without being a king. So we have these false kings that they produce to you. They call them presidents, and these presidents set precedent, but it's not their precedent. It's somebody else's precedent. Look up the definition of capitalism, right? On your own time, Google the definition of capitalism, and you'll discover what I'm talking about, right? Those who had that homework assignment last night, hopefully some of the stuff we're talking about is now coming together, right? So now check this out. So the kings, or even the governments of the earth, have committed fornication. They don't even have a relationship. They're not even married to the Most High, right? They're not even married to the Most High. Yeah, presidents are in control, but these people, they're not even married. Hear what I'm saying. I know they're saying God bless America. I know they're saying God bless the Queen. I know they're saying, whatever about people. I don't even know what the Russians saying is for Putin or whatever, but whatever they're saying, I know what they're saying. They're saying that I'm forgetting his name right now, but whatever his name is over in North Korea, they just say he is a spirit that's above people, right? like they just, all these things that are out there, right? I know what they're saying about these people, but hear what we're trying to tell you. Hey, shalom, Helen, how you doing? Thanks for being on. So I know what they told you about these people, right? But I need you to comprehend and understand, right? I know somebody say overstand. No, understand. To stand under the principle. I need you to stand under this principle once you comprehend it. All right, don't just stand under anything. Study it first. But once you comprehend it, stand under this principle that these kings are not in relationship with the Most High. Stop believing that just because somebody says, I love the Lord, he heard my cry, it doesn't mean that that person is actually there, right? And that's a great question too, Breezy, right? Which God are they even talking about? Because God and Elohim are two different things. Language is very particular, isn't it? People are telling you what they mean. People are telling you what they mean, right? We just have to believe them the first time, as our ancestor, Sister Angela Maya Angela taught us. All right. So with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. That same wine press stuff that we've been talking about, Revelation chapter 15 at the end. They've been made drunk. out of the very thing that's actually going to be poured out as wrath by the Most High. They're drunk off of what makes the Most High angry. Did you catch that? They're drunk off of what makes the Most High angry. What makes the Most High go into righteous indignation is what a lot of people out here sipping off of. That's their scissor, right? What makes them, right, and that's why we need to start listening to tulips, right? Because what makes the Most High angry is the same thing that they are going to tell you is right. Not righteous, but right. That's why we don't need to be right. We need to be righteous. All right. So Revelation chapter 17 and verse 3. So he carried me away. Who carried me away? This angel that was carrying the wrath of the Most High. He carried me away. See, we carried away from that wrath, right? Just a little quick something in there for you. Amen. He carried me away in the spirit, in the pneuma, in the ruach. He carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness. And where is Israel supposed to go to? Revelation chapter 12. We need to be in a wilderness. We need to be separated. See, it's not a one-off, a continued conversation, right? Right. Even in matter of fact, when you go back to Matthew chapter 24, where we learn that this is a continued conversation that John was having with Yahshua, then when you go back there, you'll discover that Yohanan's conversation in Revelation chapter 14 is helping us to get to a place of getting to Revelation chapter, Matthew chapter 24, excuse me. I'm thinking Matthew 24:14. Matthew chapter 24, sorry. That conversation is continued. In that conversation, you'll hear that Yahshua says, be ready to go. There's going to be something that's going to happen. You as a people, be ready to leave. Be ready to book it. Be ready to be in the wilderness. Don't be in the same place everybody else is. Be ready. Right? Hear what the Spirit saith. Right? Be ready to move. If you have an ear, right? Hear it, keep it. Be ready. Look for the cultural implications. Look for the signs. Right? So Revelation 17:3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon what? This is the woman. This is who? This is the WHOR, you know what, right? This is this prostitute, if you will, right? This is somebody who is selling herself. And it says that people have committed fornication. They never signed up for what the Most High wanted in the first place. And all they do is they pay their money to have a good time, to have pleasure, right? They pay money. Isn't that what people do now? Pay money. Isn't that what people do now? Pay money. Right, to have a good time. They're willing to give money as long as you make me feel good. I have itching ears. Just make me I just want to feel great. Yeah, separate ourselves, right? So I just want to feel great. It doesn't matter if it's righteous. I just want to feel great. I don't care if the pastor would say anything. Well, long as he says it like this, he can say, oh yes he can, anything, hallelujah, that makes you feel all right. As long that matter of fact, he won't even say, is it righteous? But he'll say, is it all right? Ain't it all right? Right? Doesn't matter what he's saying, as long as he says it in a way that makes me get goosebumps. And then they have a praise break and I can do my little two-step. It doesn't even matter what it is that I say, as long as I said it long, right? And I'm not here to say that every single pastor that does that is wrong. What I'm trying to get you is to understand that this is on your emotion. This is what Revelation is trying to warn you about. Don't get so caught up in your emotion that you forget the culture. Right? Sounds like Christianity, right? Don't get caught up on your emotion. Right? They want to be shouted happy, right? Don't get so caught up in getting shouted happy. He said, next time I got to do the two-step. I can barely do the two-step. I used to be able to do it all right. I can't really do it anymore. Right? Right? But I'm just trying to tell you, like, don't get so caught up. Right? You know, where he ain't saying nothing. Right? There's that old, and I'm not sure, you know, this is just a comedy thing. If y'all, this is old school right here. I think there was Cedric the Entertainer on what's that BET it was a BET Comic View they used to have back in the day, and he was like talking about how a preacher literally can be talking about absolutely nothing, and you just love it, right? You know, he was talking about he can be talking about making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? And you'll be sitting up there saying, "Amen, amen," right? Like, you know, like he'll be sitting up there, he talking about, I got up this morning, yeah, and I went into the kitchen. And I went into the kitchen, yes I did, and I went in there, and I wanted to make me a sandwich, but not just any sandwich. I wanted to make, you always gotta say, right? I always wanted to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and so I went in there, and I took out the bread, and I went in, I removed the butt end, and I got 2 pieces of bread, and I put the 2 pieces out, and I put it out, and I laid it out, and I got the jelly, yes I did, and I took the spoon, and I took the jelly out, and I put it on the bread, and I made sure I spread it out. You gotta spread it out a little even. Some people don't like too much jelly, but I like a lot of jelly, so I put a lot of jelly on me, and I spread it out, and then I went looking for the peanut butter, and I looked, and I couldn't find the peanut butter, and I realized that there was no peanut butter, and so I shut up the cabinet and I closed it out because a sandwich, right? And he's going on and on and on about all this stuff, right? And in all that stuff, he was making it the point, like people were getting up and people were standing on their toes while he was saying it. They were clapping and everything. They were laughing, but they were clapping. They were getting excited. Why? Because I can sing you happy and not give you one single word, right? I can sing you happy and not give you one single word. You said you cracking up, y'all laughing, right? But it's funny, but it's true, right? I can sing you happy and I give you one. And guess what people will say? He preaching right there. There's places that I go, and if I give the same message that I've been giving to you and been faithful with it and showing you these things and can give it to them, they say, oh, it's great and everything, but he really can't preach because I'm not singing. Now, I'm not saying that there's never a time where you shouldn't hoop or use a song or be able to do things, right? What I'm trying to tell you, though, is that people will think that the hooping means they're preaching. Preaching means to proclaim. It's just like people talk about, I need praise and worship. Praise means to lift up, and worship means to have extreme respect. When you pick up trash off the street, you praise the Most High because you lift up his creation enough to make sure that you would take care of it. You worship him when you pick up that trash because you're saying, I have extreme respect for what it is that you created, and I won't allow something that is not even of your will that's been made to go ahead and dirty up your earth because it's yours and the fullness thereof. That's praise and worship, right? I'm a musician, and when I go somewhere, I promise you, when they say we need some praise music, what they mean is we want something fast. That's not even the definition of praise. And they'll say we need some worship music. They're saying we need something slow. And then they say we need some real worship. They mean like, can you give us something that hits certain chords? 1 4 5, 1 6 2 5, 1 6 4 5, or 1 5 6 4. Some of you don't even know what I'm talking about. Nevertheless, right? Like they're saying we just need the music to sound like. That's not what praise and worship is. But because people have never even been in relationship with the Most High, right? I can't remember which one. Even if you look up in Black's Law Dictionary, this is why you got to know everything starts with the spirit, the pneuma, the ruach. Everything starts with kingdom law. If you look up in the Black's Law Dictionary, I can't remember if it's donation or if it's gift. I believe it's donation, but I could be wrong. But if you look up donation or gift, one of them tells you that it is considered to be ecclesiastical. Right? Is it donation? Okay. One of them says that it's considered to be ecclesiastical. My wife says it's donation, right? So so it says literally you can't have a donation given to somebody unless it's considered to be ecclesiastical. So if you're donating to a 501c3, what are you doing? You're giving an ecclesiastical, watch this, what is him or what? An assembly. It's an assembly. It's a donation to an assembly. It's a spiritual donation. See how we've been taught about these things. That's why you got to be careful to make sure you're in covenant, because a lot of us have been in covenant or never got in covenant in marriage with the Most High. That we just been paying our money, paying our time, paying our respects, paying our whatever, right, to these people and these things. And this water, these people who are sitting under what? The beast of government. On top of the government is this great WHOR, you know what, right? Thank you for being a part of the community, Alexander. Appreciate it. Shalom to you, right? So this is literally this government, this beast. You said, is that qualified in helping community on Friday? I missed what that comment was. I'm sorry. Is what? Extreme respect equals praise. Yeah, I'm sorry. I missed what you were asking. You know, I'm sorry. I missed what you were asking about Friday. I apologize. If you want to put it in the question mark box, I'll try to get to it, okay? I apologize for that. So, Revelation chapter 17, verse 3. So he carried me away. He protected me in the spirit into the wilderness. And from the wilderness, what did I see? And I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast. All right. Now, scarlet. Scarlet is basically, I don't know. Some people say it's red. Some people would actually call it purple. There's an interesting thing about this, though, because we don't comprehend this culturally. And so we're missing stuff as far as we think this is a one-off, right? So this scarlet, it actually comes from a particular type. This particular word that's used here is talking about a color that was gotten from a certain way, right? This scarlet color came, and I can't remember which insect it is, but there was an insect that, like, we think in our culture, if we want to make scarlet, we just go out and find something natural, right? And we dye it, like, so we find a fruit and we dye it, or if it's purple, right? We find a fruit and we dye it, right? And that's how we came with the color, right? But they would actually go and find bugs, insects. There was a particular type of insect, I can't remember the name of it right now. They would find this insect and they would just basically squeeze the insects. They would kill the insects. And the insects would leave behind what? Scarlet color, blood even. And so they would take this blood and they would dye the clothing scarlet. So if you found out somebody had scarlet or purple in Greco-Roman life, right, what they were doing is they were actually taking life to make scarlet. So don't get confused and you see scarlet and think, okay, royalty and I wear scarlet, blah, blah. It's not talking about the same kingdom. This is when they wear scarlet, they crush things, they kill things in order to create it. See the difference in the systems? See the difference in the mindset? Praise Yahweh. Amen. Hallelujah, right? Yeah, we get emotional, right? You sang on the choir? Yeah, I'm not saying it's bad to sing on the choir. I'm just saying a lot of kids out here are pulling through our emotions rather than actually, getting us to comprehend the word. That's how some of y'all been going to church way longer than I've been alive. And some of y'all still haven't heard this stuff from pulpits, right? Not saying that it's your fault. I'm saying that people out there, they don't comprehend culture, or they've never really been in contract with the Most High. They've been selling their soul, right? Paying money to make sure that they can have a great time, right? That's what you do with a prostitute, right? Pay money to have a great time, right? Side note, one of our favorite dad jokes, I think, is what do you call somebody who sells themselves out for spaghetti, and then you call them a prostitute. Solomon likes that one a lot. He doesn't know what a prostitute is, but he just likes to laugh at it. Sister Sonia said, let me clarify, I wasn't saying Pentecostal was fake, full of error. Ignorant, you submit. No, I'm not saying you were either. I'm not saying I am. I was talking about myself. I'm trying to make sure people comprehend that we have had people that have sang us into a stupor, right? And we haven't realized we've been stupefied a long time, right? So this scarlet that they made, watch this, it said the woman, she wasn't wearing scarlet. It said what? The beast that she sat upon. So now we have the third mention of a beast here. First mention of a beast, Revelation chapter 12, 7 heads, 10 horns, right? That's the government. Second mention of a beast, Antichrist spirit, has horns like a sheep, right? But at the same time has the voice of the dragon. Now here's the third time mention of the beast, right? Right, and of course there's other mentions of the beast too, Daniel 7, etc. Right? But now we have this in Revelation, this third mention of a beast. This beast is what? Is wearing scarlet colors. Right? But this word that they use for scarlet, they use this word that's saying that it was bugs that were crushed up. There's lives that have been taken by this government so that it would have this royalty. This is not royalty that came because it has a lineage. This is royalty that came to where they just took over and killed people. You catch this? Practicality. Let's make this practical. Right? Let's make this practical. Right? Let's make this practical now. Right? Let's make this practical. So this is practical now, right? So this government, this beast that this woman is sitting upon, this is not a Jezebel spirit. This is another woman. The word's going to tell us who she is. But this is a scarlet colored beast. Got its color because the water ground up all these people, killed all these people off to be able to form this government, to be able to give it this scarlet color. And on top of it sits this woman, who they pay, the people pay all this attention to, pay all this money to, pay all this time to, right? Time is one of the most valuable things you have. How many of you have spent more of your life recently making sure that you give your time to work and to make sure people get voted in and to make sure that you pay somebody rent and to make sure that your children go and learn somebody else's regulations and rules and culture and government rather than your own, right? How many of us have done that in our lives? Right, time is one of the most valuable things ever. Time is more valuable than money because you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. Right? Like they have had you giving your whole existence to something else. Right? And I was going to say, even in the Roman Empire, the scarlet was something as expensive, obviously, because if somebody's crushing up insects, that takes a lot of time and a lot of insects, right? So this color came from a lot of blood, and people paid a lot of money because a lot of lives had to be taken to be able to wear this scarlet. Matter of fact, if you were in the Senate in Rome, right, and even in Greece, but especially in Rome, which is where the time frame we're talking about, when you saw them wearing red, you had to realize, when they wear red, they would only wear a strip of it on their clothes. Part of it was because they weren't supposed to have a king, even though all of the Senate were the kings and their families ruled Rome. But secondly, you can only wear scarlet. We talked about this on the parades and stuff. Remember, we talked about parades a little while ago? You could only wear scarlet when it was time for you to do a parade, when you were going to do a triumph, right? When you were going to say, these are the people I took over. This is who I'm going to kill. This is who I'm going to parade in front of you. You guys get to tell me if they get to live or die, right? And so they would get to wear scarlet then, just purple or scarlet. It crushed up bugs to show how important they were. They would dye their clothes, dye their tunics, to make sure that it reflected how many people they basically had killed. And in their mind, that allowed them to be like, it wasn't Saturn, but I forget the god at the moment that they were talking about, or the deist at the moment. But they got to be that person to dress up. That might have been Jupiter.
Was it Janus?
I don't think so. Maybe. But whoever the god was. I can't remember. Could be Janus for all I know at this point. But they got to pretend to be this god, and as they pretended to be like this god, they got to wear all the blood. It was the blood that made them godlike. Now we say we're covered in blood, and somebody says that that's disgusting, but that's their culture. That's why in Roman Catholicism, by the way, what do cardinals wear? What do cardinals wear? Red, don't they? Scarlet. Why do they wear scarlet? It's a sign. It's a symbol. Blood had to be shed. They're more valuable because they control more lives. See, we don't know what people are. We don't know that cardinal and bishop and overseer, these are legal terms. We think that these are spiritual things. These terms don't even exist in Hebrew, right? Which means that Israel didn't have these people. A bishop was somebody who was in control of a region. So when somebody's a bishop, that means that the Pope says that they have permission to be over a region of people. And back then, the Pope, especially like now, it still is, but now, you got to be more politically correct. And back then, they were real about it. Go look up what the first popes did. The first popes just killed people. Why do you kiss the ring? You kiss the ring because you kiss the ring of a king. So they were saying that we're king of kings. We're over all you, right? The English king had to bow down to the Pope. The French king had to bow down to the Pope. The Portuguese king had to bow down to the Pope. The Russian king had to bow down to the Pope. It doesn't matter where you were. The Irish king, the Scottish king, the German king. It didn't matter where you were. The Pope was supposed to be what? The king of kings. He's supposed to be the vicar. He's supposed to be a literal, that's what they believe, a literal, they don't say Yahshua, of course, but they say a literal, he's supposed to be literally the representation of Jesus on earth. Blasphemy. Right? All these terms we've been seeing. Blasphemous. Right? You said a day is 12 hours, been fooled into toiling for 8. Yeah. Think about that. right? Technically, a day is what, 12 hours? It's supposed to be 2 hours, right? But 12 hours even of light, 12 hours of darkness, so to speak, sometimes, right? Supposedly, like 12 hours of evening, 12 hours of the rising, and you work 8 out of 12, right? Some people work 12 hours a day. I know I've done that before. You know, I've done stuff where I was working 16 hours a day. Get half a day off and call it a day off. Right? Amen. Yeah, time is valuable, right? So we're dedicating all this stuff, but here you have these people wearing scarlet. It's not even being hidden. It's hidden to those that, once again, what? Don't have the mysteries revealed. But it's not hidden. It's right in front of your face. You said you almost called me bishop twice. Oh, yeah. Yeah, people have spoken bishopry over my life, and I know what they mean, but I'm not a bishop, you know. I'm not in their system, right? We do have regions, so to speak, but, you know, we don't do the same exact thing because I don't control people's lives. I've told y'all this before. A real leader does not lead people, right? We talk about he's a leader of men. I don't lead men. I lead an environment. And if men like the environment that's there, they can come and be leaders inside the environment. You said there's a language that translates scarlet to the color red. Yeah, scarlet, so red. You know, and by the way, you know, think about it. Some people see fuchsia and see red. Some people see purple and tell you it's red. Some people see scarlet. Red, scarlet, all these things are different languages. They're different cultures. Like, for example, why do we call a rose pink or a rose red? If you go to, you know, en français, rose is pink. So when you see a certain type of pink, you call it, you would say that's rose colored. Why do you do that? Because in France, they didn't have a color called pink. Right. So in their language, they said, oh, that's rose. But in another language, they say, oh, we have a color close to that and it's pink. So we'll just say that, you know, that's a pink rose. But to them, they're like, no, you know, pink may not necessarily be rose. Right. It's a cultural thing. Right. It's the same thing. So red, scarlet, all these things. But nevertheless, so let's get back into this. Right. Y'all know I have a tendency to be micro. So if y'all let me and y'all have me, I'll keep going everywhere else except staying on track. So let me get back into this. Right. Right. So he carried me away in the spirit in the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon the scarlet colored beast, right? The government, that now all this blood and everything's been shed. This beast looking different than what it did before. Same beast, same 7 heads, same 10 horns, but now the color's different. There's some blood on his hands, right? There's some blood on this beast's hands, right? And I saw a woman sit upon the scarlet colored beast, full of names, full of authorities of what? Of blasphemy. What is the only unforgivable sin, by the way? And what is blasphemy? Remember, we got like 3 definitions we can use. Somebody saying they're Elohim on earth. Somebody saying they're Elohim or like Elohim. That was the issue with Adam and Eve. They said we're going to be like Elohim. Not we're going to follow after him, right? But we're going to be just like him. Nope. You're not equal to him in any way, shape, or form. And then lastly, what is after that? Then you also say that you can forgive the same way that Elohim can. Just like you go to a cardinal or a priest or the pope or a bishop or whomever, and you ask for what? Forgiveness of your sins, when you can ask for it for yourself. Right? Read your Bible. It'll bless you, right? I'm not coming outside of the word. Right, this is in your Bible, right? If anybody says I'm coming outside, let me know, right? And I'll repent. But y'all know I'm not trying to add anything to this word nor take away, because I'm not going to have my name, any plagues added to my family or I, and we definitely ain't going to have our names taken out the book of life. I love my family too much for that. I love myself too much for that. I love you all too much for that. I love the Most High too much for that. All right. So, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. This is the same beast mentioned in Ezekiel, same beast mentioned in Daniel, same beast we talked about in Revelation. Same government, not a one-off. This is the second mention of the same beast. It's not a third beast. Some people will try to tell you because it's scarlet colored, this is a whole different beast. But we saw out of the water, remember, not a one-off. Revelation 12, At Satan, he can't get to Yahshua. He loses the war against Michael and the archangels. He plummets down to the earth. He's trying now. He's mad and upset because he can't get to Yahshua, right? He only has a short amount of time, so he's trying to get to Israel. Israel is starting to come together. He can't get to Israel because we're protected by the word, the solid word of the Most High. He spits the people or the water towards Israel. He can't get to it, so now he starts trying to pick off the remnant because he's upset because he is lost to Yahshua. He's a defeated foe. Then out of that, out of the water, rises what? The beast. So this is just simply saying the same thing. It's getting into a deeper conversation about that same beast. The beast came out of the water, out of the people, right? And now it's telling you on top of that beast is a woman. So now it's just getting deeper into it. It's the same beast that came out the water. Now this beast is scarlet colored. Blood is on this beast, this government's hands, right? And it's now to a place to where it believes it's kingly, right? Remember, we talked about the wine, right? The wine will go through the wine press. The same thing that people think is about is righteous and all this stuff in Revelation chapter 15 towards the end is going to be the same thing that the Most High has wrath for, Revelation chapter 16. We talked about yesterday. So now, and who is this angel that's showing this to Yohanan or John at this point in Revelation? It's an angel that's dealing with this wrath. And he's saying, look, that scarlet colored beast. Now the beast is scarlet colored, and now you didn't see it before. Remember, he said, I got to take you to the wilderness. I got to take you to a place of Israel where you can see this from a different perspective. Now that you're in the word, look again. There's a woman on top. You didn't see her before. See that? Now look again. Get some deeper perspective, right? And look into this a little deeper. There's a woman on top now. All right, it's Revelation 17, verse 4. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, right? They're really one and the same, right? But purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold, precious stones, and pearls. Okay, so she's decked out, you know, got all types of flavor going on. People will probably be like, man, that's attractive. Probably got makeup and all this. I'm not saying makeup's evil, by the way. I'm just saying, you know, probably got the best of makeups, can afford these things. Everybody's paying this woman. This woman has importance because she sits on top of the beast. So the people the people who came out of Satan, right, are worship, and the Antichrist spirit is having them to what? Worship the beast. They've now started to kill people, right, to give an offering, a sacrifice, which is why it's always amazing to me that people in the kingdom find it a bad thing to do a sacrifice. You better start doing sacrifice of some kind of offering, some kind of time, whether it's time to talent, time, effort, energy, resource, whatever. Prayers, right? You better make sure that you are giving some kind of offering and praise to the Most High on a regular basis, because they're offering up bodies over there. Like, you need to be offering up prayer. They offering up bodies. There are young people that leave their homes, black boys and black girls, and we don't know what happens soon. They offering up bodies over there. How many people are buying organs and stuff off the black market? They offering up bodies and sacrifice, and you can't sacrifice your time. Right? We can't sacrifice our time, but they offering up bodies. Yeah, not in their system of control. I'm not sure which word you're talking about, Brother Dennis, right? When you were talking about the origin of the word, I'm sorry. Meanwhile, the Pope is left behind closed doors, yep. And they feel like their priest is a supreme priest. Yeah, that's a tongue twister for me, right? All these things, right? So they're offering up this stuff, crunching up, taking lives, right? Malcolm X said it like this: when they ask you to die in, people say you shouldn't worry about this. Don't be willing to die for the cause. Don't be willing to die for your people. Don't have any blood. He said that's wild. He said that's something that makes the world look at you and laugh as men. He said, think about it. When they asked you to go to World War, when they asked you to go to Germany and bleed, you bled. He said, when they asked you to go to Korea, you bled. When they asked you to go over to Southeast Asia and stuff, you bleed, right? He said, but when it comes to your children, your little black babies and your little black girls and stuff, you all of a sudden now you can't go, you can't bleed, you ain't got no blood. Where's your sacrifice and your offering? I'm not saying take up arms right now. What I'm saying is that we don't even sacrifice. I would do that, but I would give my time. And look, a lot of you give a lot of time to us, and we appreciate you, right? I'm not saying everybody. You take this, judge yourself, self-governance, self-accountability, right? But how is it that we have the enemy that's willing to take lives and put people on blast and take lives of people that are in their own system? and kill off his own and do whatever it is. And we don't even have to do that. Hey, pray some more. Hey, every once in a while, you might need to go ahead and sow into somebody's life. Hey, make sure you pick up your phone and call somebody and make sure that they know that they're loved. Hey, take some time out to sacrifice to start your own business, right? These are things that cause freedom. And yet when it comes to those things, we ain't got no blood. I mean, this is your people. And who's going to fight for your people more than you? Who's going to care about your people more than you? And once again, those that are grafting as well, this is not a black-white thing I'm talking about even necessarily. I'm just trying to get you to comprehend and see that we have this wild mentality. We have this wild mentality. Right? You said, so making confession is blasphemy. If you're going to confession to say, hey, can you forgive my sins? That's blasphemy, because you don't need a man to forgive your sins. Nobody needs, like, if somebody, this has happened a couple times to me in my life. It really doesn't happen much. But if somebody, contacts me, and a lot of times people, when they contact me for prayer, actually, this is what they really mean. They're saying, can you pray for me because I can't pray for myself, or this and that. Now, I don't mind praying with you, of course, but don't come to me expecting that you can talk to me and then say, hey, can you pray for my forgiveness? I can't forgive you of sins you did to the Most High. If you did something wrong to me, then I've already forgiven you. Before you do it, forgiveness is eternal. It's not something that's reactionary. Yeah, but if you're asking me to do like, oh, well, I need you to forgive me of my sin. No, I don't forgive nobody of my sin. That's blasphemous. Now, if you say, can you help me to figure out how to be forgiven or blah, blah, this and that or whatever, well, you're already forgiven. We need to get you on a place to where you can repent. Right. But when you go to see that, when you go to confession, that's not what they're doing. Right. They're saying, we're going to forgive your sins. That's a different mindset. Right. So these are things that are there. Right. So watch this. So back to Revelation chapter 17. Right. I'm going to have to make sure we get back on track. Revelation chapter 17. Right. Verse 4, and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color. So she's supposed to be royalty, right? She's made herself to be royalty, right? The people have made her to be royalty. They've given themselves, right? They've given themselves to this woman, to this prostitute, right? And decked with gold, precious, having golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. So she drinks from abomination. If it's not abominable, this woman doesn't drink. Whoever this woman is, right? Now watch this. Revelation 17 verse 5. This is going to be a blessing to you, right? This is going to wake up a lot of things inside you. If you didn't know this already, if you hadn't really read this, or if you never got it because you didn't know the beast and the government and all this has been talking about. Now watch this. Revelation chapter 17 verse 5. And upon her forehead, so this woman, upon her forehead, remember there's two people that are sealed on their foreheads. Either you have the seal of the Most High, and therefore you can be grafted in as well to those who are sealed, or you have another seal on your forehead and on your right hand, right? And you're under that Antichrist spirit, under the beast. Okay. And upon her forehead was a name written. This is what the name that's going to be written on people's foreheads are, right? When it says there was a mark and all this stuff or whatever. Now, obviously, this is not saying literally somebody's going to carve all this stuff out, but it's trying to get you to see on a spiritual level. Y'all ready for this? It says mystery, Babylon the Great. I'm sorry. Actually, I said everybody's forehead. Let me rewind. I'm sorry. Let me rewind. This is what's going to be written upon her forehead, right? But this is basically what's happening. These people who are going to have this mark of the beast on their forehead, they follow after this woman that has a mark. Let me be very careful about that, okay? Prayerfully, everybody receive what I just said, all right? I apologize. Yahweh, forgive me as well, right? We want to make sure that we're accurate, all right? You ready? So, Revelation 17, verse 5, and upon her forehead was a name, Shem, authority. There was an authority written. Mystery. So what are mysteries? Mysteries are supposed to be revealed. What needs to be revealed? Mystery. Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. What is this woman? Who is this woman? Who is this people who is this spirit that people are continuing to prostitute, to sell out to make sure that they give everything to, so that they can have whatever? It says what? And upon her forehead was a name written, mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. So the mystery that we needs to be revealed to us, that's why it's important that we went through all this stuff, government and everything, right? Some people saying, why did we have to go through all that? Because you needed to have revealed to you that Babylon the Great, who is the mother of harlots, so all people that sell themselves out are coming underneath this woman, right? Babylon the Great, in their estimation, she is great. She's so great that they would rather sell out their souls to be with her for a fleeting moment. She's so great at what she does that they would sell out their souls for a fleeting moment of hey, I'll just say it, of orgasmic pleasure, so to speak. A fleeting moment of, man, I got really high today. A fleeting moment of, man, you know what? I had all this money in my pocket, but everybody knows how this story ends. If I keep selling drugs, I'm going to end up in prison. But I'll sell everything because this moment, you know, Rick Ross, right? This moment of I'm making $200,000 plus a day. Even though I'm going to have to do some prison time for this, even though my community is dying because of what I'm selling them. Hey, this fleeting moment of being Rick Ross and the fact that people will write my name in songs, heck, the fact that rappers will copy off of my name and call themselves Rick Ross, right? It's worth it for a fleeting moment. I'm going to lose my family. I'm not going to have access to my children the way that I did. But it was worth it, a fleeting moment. This woman's been in my life for 30, 40, 50 years. But hey, I see a woman out there. She got hips or whatever. My wife ain't acting right now. Since we're not having sex or whatever, we ain't had sex in 2 weeks or whatever. This woman says she give it up. Hey, I have no self-control. I'm going to do something stupid, a fleeting moment. People say stupid stuff and do stupid stuff like that all the time and get what they deserve because they give up kingdom, they give up marriage, they give up family, they give up peace, they give up circumstances. You know, I have the greatest wife on earth. No woman on this planet is worth a fleeting moment. But you don't think about that, right? Because you don't understand you're going after, you're selling out for a fleeting moment, for a little orgasmic moment here or there. People will eat food that could kill them. Do you know there are people who eat stuff like that you know is poisonous and it's like Russian roulette? It might kill you, it might not, but they'll eat it. And then if they end up dying, hey, it was worth it. At least I tried something adventurous. That's a fleeting moment mentality. That's a selling out stuff to somebody who literally is sitting upon people who had to kill off their own people sometimes. They kill off so many others and kill off human beings and all this other things and had to kill off culture and all this stuff just so you can go ahead and have access to this woman that's on top. The beast, the government, is looking up to this woman, this fleeting moment. It makes me feel great. The whole government is based on what makes you feel great. Republican versus Democrats. You can't wait until they have the next, not the next election, but the next debate. Because you can feel great. See, yeah, that's the Democrats. They're speaking some real stuff right now. The Republicans, yeah, they're speaking some things that really speak to me. A fleeting moment. Did any change come out of it? Amen. Yeah, my wife talking about Hollywood. Do some research on Hollywood in Babylon. Matter of fact, when you see them on the red carpet, they call that whole area when they're doing the red carpet and coming in to the Masonic Lodge and everything. That whole place that they do the Oscars and stuff from is a Masonic Lodge. Oscar is actually the name of a Babylonian deity, a Babylonian god, right? And when they come down that red carpet, scarlet, you see, like. Thanks, babe, for even saying that. Scarlet colored. It's in front of you all the time. Remember, Satan is the prince of the air. We just talked about the airwaves, right? The scarlet color coming down, the red carpet, the carpet, right? A lot of people even wearing scarlet ties from time to time, things like that. Or actually, most of them have to wear. Most of them are supposed to wear basically black. They're supposed to wear black and white. And then so the scarlet pops out, right? And then when you finish doing all that stuff, I'm sorry, and when you go there, you'll actually see that it's the whole thing. If you've ever been there or if you do some research on it, you'll see that the whole thing over there is actually designed to mirror a movie. There was a movie that was made about Babylon that was like considered to be like the Ben-Hur of its time. It's a really old school movie. And the gate and everything there is supposed to be based off of what Babylon looked like. They made a whole Babylon repeat of it and put it in a movie for people to see it, so it could be some cursed stuff going through the airways, printed the air. And then you'll see on there they have the beast on there. They have the different gods on there. You go inside, they have the checkerboard floor, and you look up, you have the skylight, and you have all those things, right? It's Babylonian. It's worship. The whole thing is designed for you to not, like, you're in the mystery that needs to be revealed to you is everything you're getting is coming out of Babylon. They consider it to be great, but Yah says it's going to get his wrath to come. Be careful. Be ye always ready. Study. Show yourself approved. Right? Yeah, be responsible for yourself. Right? Like be ready. Shema said I'm stepping on toes today. Be ready for these things. You got to comprehend it. Yeah, they even say like red tie is the power tie. Right? You see a president wearing a red tie, he's supposed to be showing power today. That's Babylonian. That's scarlet. That's a lot of blood that had to be shed to put that person there. They're telling you that I control lives, that I can kill you off like that. They're telling you I've sold my soul. I'm not saying never wear the color red again. Heck, I actually have some red pants on. I'm trying to get you though to see culturally when you see these people in their culture. Amen, Sister Beverly. How you doing? Right? When you see people within their culture and they're wearing red, they're telling you something. When you sign a document in red, it literally means you're signing it in blood. There's a culture attached to that. All right. Revelation chapter 17, verse 6. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints. You see, the blood. Which means that she, if you think about it, she's on top of the beast. She's so drunk with it that she's literally even spilling it on the beast, helping the beast to remain scarlet color. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and with the blood and with the blood of the martyrs of Yahshua, right? Revelation chapter 6, verse 9. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. Now, this is something that's crucial right here. You would go, great admiration. Why would he admire this, right? So we got to look up the word that was used. I wondered with great admiration. So we got to make sure we get the correct word, because if we don't, we're going to be caught up with this, right? So this word great, first of all, is mega. So if you hear somebody say mega man, something like that, that's just a Greek way of saying, a lot, big, a huge amount, right? But when we look up this word here, when it's talking about admiration, it's saying, I looked at as a marvel. So it's not negative or positive. It's saying this thing was shocking, or this thing was something I wasn't ready for. This thing is big. This thing is huge. It's mega. It's megas, right? So, because you got to be careful. We have different people on these platforms, and some people worship different things. And so, they ask questions. We got to make sure. I want to make sure everybody, whether you listen to the recording or not, it's not saying that the woman was admired by John. It's saying that, that's the word they use in English. It's saying that he looked and he was like, oh, wow. When you showed me, like, I'd seen the water, I had seen the beast, but now that I really see what's going on top, whoa, like that's crazy, right? Like, I wasn't ready for that. That's what he's saying. So it's not admiring, okay? He's just saying I wasn't ready for that. All right. Verse 17, it says, and the angel said unto me, wherefore didst thou marvel? Why are you surprised by this? He says, I will tell thee the mystery of the woman. I'm going to reveal the mystery. Remember, mystery on her forehead, mystery, Babylon the Great. Right? So he says, don't trip. You should know this already, right? You should already know. Yahshua has been telling you this since Matthew 24, right? Daniel wrote this down, Daniel chapter 2, Daniel chapter 7. Ezekiel talked about this. Isaiah talked about this. This woman that you've seen in Revelation chapter 12, she was talked about all the way back in Badashia to Gemal. Like, you don't be shocked by what you see, because this is not a one-off. He's talking to John the disciple, John the apostle, John the revelator, right? And he's saying, man, you should know this already. So if John should have known this already, but he's taken back, imagine a lot of us that don't even keep holy days and keep law, and then never met Yahshua and all these different things. Imagine how surprised we are. But he says, hey, don't be surprised by this. Don't let yourself get to a place. Look, you've been on the Isle of Patmos. You've been separated by some things, right? So maybe that might be what. But don't get to a place to where you're what? You're so surprised by this. He says, why do you marvel? So Sonia says, stuff you see every day and ignorant to the history of why. Yeah. Just revealing why I left sorority. Oh, amen. Yeah. sorority, fraternity, Greek, all that stuff. Luciferian culture, that's what runs the world. Funny how they grade your papers with a red pen. I mean, I noticed day after 9/11, the U.S. heads were wearing red ties on TV. Don't even get into what the vice president was into at that time, right? So getting back into this, watch this. So he said, why do you marvel? Wherefore didst thou marvel? Revelation 17, verse 7. I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath 7 heads and 10 horns. Now for us, we've gone over this, so it shouldn't be, it shouldn't be too much of a shock for us. Revelation chapter 17, verse 8. And it says, the beast, the government that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. Whoa, wait a minute. So you saw this beast that was and is not. Now we're going to see a little bit later the second meaning for this, which is actually the more prominent meaning. But think about that. This beast, this government, was and is not. Was and is not. One of the meanings that we see, hey, when we're dealing with sovereignty, when we're dealing with the United States, right, corporation versus the United States of America, it was and is not. It's not real. All right, right? So the beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. That means it's going to start destroying stuff, right? And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder. So this government's supposed to be locked up and everything. This government has been kept at bay or whatever. We thought that we've really seen some stuff or whatever, but it's going to be released at some point. There's going to be a time where, so this government, this beast is going to be captured. We're going to get into these things in other chapters coming up, right? And so this beast, this government that's there, it's going to still, even is going to be released from the bottomless pit at a certain point. And what is going to go into perdition is going to go into destruction mode. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder. They'll be shocked by this because they weren't prepared. They weren't thinking about it, right? Whose names, but watch this. Who's going to be shocked? Who's going to be amazed by this? Who's not going to comprehend what's going on? Whose names, whose authority, were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. So people who have made a decision that they're not going to be with the Most High, they'll be surprised. People who are going to try to talk about revelation without culture, they're going to be surprised by these things coming up. We should not be surprised. While they're surprised and horrified and shocked by what's going on, we should be reveling, rejoicing. When they watch, and what'll happen? When are they going to be shocked? They'll behold the beast that was and is not, and yet is. It's not real, but it's getting real. It's not, race isn't real as far as how we use it. However, race is pretty real, isn't it? Your social security number is not real, but it's pretty real, isn't it? Your birth certificate is not real, but it's pretty real, isn't it? Right? Revelation 17, verse 9. And here in the mind which hath wisdom. So here in the mind, the word mind, spirit. Here in the spirit which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. 7 high places, 7 mountains, right? The 7 heads, 7 mountains, high places, places where kings are, kings, kingdoms, 7 heads, right? So you have 7, right? 7 major kingdoms we talked about: Kemet, Assyria, Babylon, Medo-Persians, Greece, Rome, right? That's 6, and then we have this Roman Catholic Church that's had its head cut and comes back. It was, this is the second meaning now, it was and isn't, and yet is. It's come back to life. Remember Revelation chapter 13, Yohanan said, I saw the beast, and when I saw it, it looked like one of the heads had gone through a major thing, right? 1,260 years after 538 AC, 1798 AC, right? When the Justinian decree is made based off of what was done in the 1400s, when the Bishop of Rome, the first Pope, is given power over Western Europe, right? Think about the spirit that has to be there to where a whole empire is divided in 2 so that that this 7th head can have power. Think about the power that you have to have. One continuous conversation, right? So it says, and there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, right? So the same stuff we've been talking about, right? There are 7 kings, 5 of these 7, what? Have fallen. So there are 7 kings, right? So the same stuff we've been talking about, right? There are 7 kings. 5 of these 7, what? Have fallen. So there are 7 kings. 5 have fallen. Assyria, who's fallen? Babylon, right? Even though Babylon the Great is still in existence, technically, right? Well, you know what? Thank you, Holy Spirit. I was about to say that wrong. It is a revelation I'm getting right now, really, right? Amen. We actually had to skip. I was going in order, but you got to skip number 3, right? Kemet has fallen. Assyria has fallen, right? The Medo-Persians have fallen. Greece has fallen. Rome has fallen because the Roman Empire is now under one of the 2 heads. You have Babylon the Great, still hasn't really fallen by itself over here. And what's the other one? You have the Roman Catholic Church. Still haven't fallen. So all of these have an effect. All 7 have an effect, but 2 haven't really fallen. 5 have fallen. And 1 is, and the other is not yet come. So technically, even though the Roman, 1 has fallen, 1 is, and 1 has not yet come, right? So technically, you have Babylon has gone away, so to speak. You could even look at that. I don't even know if I can go over all this stuff. I'm getting a lot of stuff the Holy Spirit's given to me at the same time. You can actually look at Babylon having its head cut off and coming back, right? Or you could actually even look at, of course, the Roman Empire having its head cut off and coming back after the 1,260 years. But guess what? 1 is, and 1 has not yet come. Babylon, it was, and then has not yet come, right? It was, it is, and has not yet come. You have the one that is, right? The Roman, the Roman Catholic Church in power right now, affected a whole bunch of different things, right? But you also have what? One that has not yet come. Babylon the Great is still there. I don't know if y'all are getting what I'm saying. I'm seeing a bunch of stuff at the same time. I'm trying to slow it down. Right? Babylon the Great, it says it's on top, the woman. Right? And she's basically governing it. It's almost like, can I say it like this? I don't know if it'll make more sense like that. It's almost like the greatest trick of the devil. You know how we say all the time, the greatest trick of the devil is getting people to believe that they never existed. The greatest trick of the whore, if you will, of the woman on top of the beast, is to get you and I to believe that she is never. I don't even know how to. It's hard for me to say it. I'm feeling it. I know I'm not saying it correctly. Y'all forgive me. I'm sorry. I'm trying. I've never seen this before. Give me a second. I've never gotten what I'm getting before. Wow, we might have to just take a break here and come back. I'm praying. Ooh, okay. So you have these 2. You have the Roman Empire, you have Babylon the Great, right? Babylon the Great is what everybody's selling out to, right? And a lot of people don't realize that she hasn't even really come into full effect yet. There's New World Order. You have the Roman Catholic Church. Everybody will give you that one. But Babylon the Great is still there. Babylon the Great is still hovering, right? And let's read on. This is gonna make sense now that I've said it that way. So Babylon the Great is hovering around. People are selling themselves out to this, right? So Babylon, this Babylonian spirit, right, which people aren't even paying attention to. It was, but it's not really here now. So people are thinking. But Babylon and like we talked about in Hollywood and with the Oscars and all these different things going on, Babylon is all over the place. But people really don't know. They're selling themselves. They're giving everything to this person, and Babylon is so drunk and stuff is not even in position yet to try and take this, right? But watch what's going to happen. All right. So 7 kings have fallen. There are 7 kings. 5 are fallen. 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. Verse 11. And the beast and the government that was and is not, and even he is the 8th. and is of the seven, right? So remember, one of these heads was killed, and has come back. So even though it's 7 heads, technically it's 8 heads, right? And they're going to go into perdition as well, go into what? Destruction as well, right? So now that it goes into these places are being released and destroying things and all these things, it says what in verse 12? And 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, right? 10 kings, 10 kingdoms. We know that 3 of those kingdoms were killed off, and then this 11th horn, if you will, or this 8th horn comes into play, right? So and the 10 horns which thou sawest were 10 kings, 10 kingdoms, 10 tribes, which have received no kingdom as yet, but received powers as kings 1 hour with the beast. So just for a small amount of time, they had power underneath the beast. But then, right, a small amount of time, right? They had a little time, right? So even these horns, 3 of the horns, they had a little power. They fought against Rome. They got killed off. Then you have some of these tribes that are left over. They had a little bit of time in the sunshine, right? The French had a little bit of time in the sunshine through the beast, through the government, killing and conquering and stuff, but they didn't really stick around that long. England had a little bit of time in the sunshine, right? But, not really around anymore the same way, right? Spain had a little bit of time in the sunshine, but not really quite in the same place, right? Portugal had a little bit of time in the sunshine, but not quite doing the same thing, right? Russia had a little bit of time in the sunshine, not quite really doing much, right? Germany had a little bit of time in the sunshine, but not really, doing much of anything, right? Even Prussia had a little bit of time in the sunshine, but not really right. You had some kingdoms. They did a little bit of something, but they just had a little 1 hour. They really weren't doing much like that, right? So I'm sorry. Oh yeah. So, but they had a little bit of time, 1 hour with the beast. They came to the government. They tried to claim that they were Roman. They tried to claim Roman Catholicism over them. They tried to say, that I go back to the great kings of, I'm going to be like Alexander the Great, and I'm going to be like, like the Kemetic people. Matter of fact, some of us are even going to try to take over Kemet yet again, and say that it belongs to us. All these different things, right? So we, we're going to take over Africa. We're going to take over South America. We're going to take over North America. We're going to take over parts of Europe that have nothing to do with us. Caucasus Mountains, right? Caucasians were actually people that were enslaved at one point. We're going to do all these different things, right? And it says in verse 13, these have one mind. They have one spirit. They are of one accord, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast, unto the government. Now there's a new world, one world order, right? It's always been there, right? But it was broke up into little things. So it really wasn't there, but it really is there. I hope you guys are getting what I'm saying. Like, there's so much flying at me. I'm just putting out right now. I'm not even sure if what I'm saying is making sense. Prayerfully, you're getting it. I couldn't repeat some of that stuff if I wanted to, and there's still stuff flying around in my mind. I'll try to see if I can have this a little better, especially once we finish with Revelation chapter 20. We'll do Q&A. So if you guys hang in there just a few more days, we'll do a Q&A, and maybe we can revisit this, and I'll try to have some stuff more in order, right? But there's a lot in there. There's a whole lot in this, right? Hopefully you guys were able to receive enough of what we were talking about. Amen. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Brother Dennis. Yeah, getting really real, right? Yeah, the full platform. Yeah, so if you go to TikTok, if you go to YouTube, look up #FindKofi, #FindKofi. If you go to our podcast, the Kofi Ofori podcast, it's actually written in our bio, by the way. You got to have the Podbean app to listen in live, but you can listen to all the recordings there. If you go to Instagram, we have a few recordings there. If you go to Facebook, we have pretty much every single recording we've done there. So, yeah, you can definitely look up all these different things. You said, could that be when Satan will be loosed? Yeah. So we're getting a little bit of that, talking about when he'll be loosed and things of that nature. But it's a lot of different things coming together. You said, so you heard that Babylon is this country. Babylon the Great, this country has a lot of Babylonian things, right? But this country is remember, it's all 7 of them. They're part of the same beast. That's part of the problem. It's hard to see, but yeah, Babylon the Great, as far as particular Babylonian things, are things we need to pay attention to. When people start having Babylonian things around you, even though it's kind of a new version of the Babylonian stuff, but when you start seeing half man, half goat stuff, right? Luciferian type stuff like that, Baphomet, Krampus, who goes around with Santa Claus. That's why you see coal in stockings. Yeah, right. You gotta see all those things coming together, right? You said, "Get me some ginkgo." where does the U.S. fall in all this? So the U.S. basically is under, you're talking about as part of the same beast. At the end of the day, it's going to be one world order. So all seven heads are part of the same beast. We can't forget that, right? But there's two in particular we got to pay attention to, right? Babylon and the Roman Catholic Church. And when we say the Roman Catholic Church, recognize and realize when we talk about the Roman Catholic Church, you're dealing with what? The Roman Empire. So even when people say, well, it's Roman, it's romantic, yeah, but the Romans got from the Greeks, and the Greeks got from the Medo-Persians, and the Medo-Persians got from Babylon, and Babylon got from Assyria, and Assyria got from Kemet, right? So it's all one. But so we're not saying dismiss any of them. What we're saying is pay attention to things that are Babylonian, right? When you see Hollywood, that's Babylon. Right, there's other things that are Babylonian as well, right? But Baphomet, things like that. When you see lions somewhere and you see lions with wings on them, that's Babylonian, right? Be careful of those places. Be careful of those mentalities, right? But also when you see when you see things that are very Roman Catholic, when you see Christianity, when you see this Antichrist spirit that says that, hey, I've got sheep-like qualities, but I speak like a dragon, right? Be ready for all of those things. Yeah, they got their 15 minutes of fame, so to speak, right? Thank you, Sister Betty. Thank you, everybody, for being patient with me. It took me a minute. I don't even know if I said it correctly. I'm going to just leave it there. I'm going to have to go listen to this recording myself and see if we need to smooth some things over. Miniature Babylons. You could say that in a sense, Bradley. Amen. So we caught up on the comments, I think. Yeah, false religions, assemblies. You got to come up out of this system, right? It's built up to form this new world order. Said, have you gone over Revelation 12? Sign? Question mark. It happened in the stars, September 2017. We're in the end. No, Revelation. We went over Revelation chapter 12. Revelation chapter 12 is talking about the woman. Who is the woman? The woman is the same woman that's mentioned in Jeremiah chapter 3. The woman is the same woman that's mentioned in Genesis chapter 3. So the woman who's Yashra'al, and who needs to be sealed, Revelation chapter 7, so that everybody can come together, and of all nations, tongues, kindreds, etc. Revelation chapter 7 talks about who's sealed. Revelation 12 talking about this woman who's going to give birth to the child. The child can't get begotten to because he gets back to Shemayim or heaven. The devil goes after him, can't get in there, and so now turns around to come after Yashra'al and those who are trying to be grafted in. Can't get to us because we're starting to come together and go to a separate place. So now he's picking off the remnant by itself. That happened when Yahshua went to heaven, and from that point on, Satan or the devil, he wasn't able to get into heaven anymore or on the earth, and the only thing he has authority over is what we give him authority over. So we went over Revelation chapter 12 a while ago. So amen. So now here we are in Revelation chapter 17, let's go to verse 14. It's almost time for us to take our leave for the day. So Revelation chapter 17, verse 14. So these shall make, who? These. Who? The beast shall make what? Their war with the Lamb. And the Lamb shall overcome them, because we are more than overcomers. So these, the beast, the water, the people, the woman, right? The woman, the mystery, Babylon the Great that everybody looks up to, these Babylonian things, right? Hey, how you doing, Sister Hattie? So Revelation chapter 17, verse 14, these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is what? Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with him called, those that are with him, in Greek they say kletos, those that are with him are invited, are called, and chosen, and faithful. Wait a minute. So many are called, few are what? Chosen. Many are kletos, invited, but few will actually do what they're chosen to do. Many are called, few are chosen. These people that will be with the Most High are called and chosen, and also now faithful. They're what? They're called. They're what? They are chosen. They're what? They are faithful. They're what? They're called. They're what? They're chosen. They're what? They are faithful. They're what? They are called. They're what? They are chosen. They are what? They are faithful. Verse 15, and he saith unto me, who is he? The same angel that holds the wrath. All right? The same angel that's talking about judgment that's got to be poured upon the earth. It says, he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, and peoples, and multitudes, and nations, and tongues, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate this woman, this WHOR, you know what, and shall make her desolate and naked. They're going to strip her. They're going to reveal who she really is. And shall what? It even says, eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Now watch this. So the very waters, the very people, this is why we can't give up on people. We got to get this word out to everybody, right? John has 1 foot in the water, the people who are in the system. He has 1 foot. He's in the system, but what? He's not of it. He has 1 foot in the earth, the solid things of the Most High. He just came from the angel who had his hand up in the heavens, had the book in his other hand, right? John 8 of the book was able to get this word in him, and now he's dealing with the people and stuff. He has a message for the people in the world and the people who are going to be of Yah, right? These people who are of the world, right? Once people see that Yah is going to be victorious, and they see that he's the Lord of Lords and King of Kings. Not everybody, not a majority, but those people. There, it says that there are people who are part of the government, right? They're part of the. They're in the water, right? Revelation 17 verse 15, right? They've had fornication, right? They've been. I'm sorry, they've had fornication. They have been in the water. They part of these great multitudes and nations and tongues of people, right? They'll realize the 10 horns as well. And the 10 horns, these governments, these places, these tribes that try to be like the beast. It says, and which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate this woman, this spirit. They will what? Hate this spirit, this WHOR, you know what? My son's sitting here, right? Shalom, by the way, sir. Yeah. So they shall what? They shall hate. Please be careful with that. Okay? They shall hate this woman. And it says they're going to tear her up. This woman that they sold out to, this spirit that they sold out to, they're going to begin to come to a position where they realize, wait a minute, I've been in this system my whole life, and this is what I'm getting out of it. And those who are on the podcast, thank you so much for being on. We're about to lose you probably in about a minute, so feel free to go to Facebook or watch the rest on YouTube or come on TikTok or come on the IG with us. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time. And those who are listening to this later on, thank you for being on with us. We appreciate you, right? So those people who've been in this system, aren't we seeing this a lot now, where people who have been in this system their entire lives are turning around and saying, wait a minute, this is the best that this system has to offer? Burn it down. Right? This is the best this system has to offer? Man, break up the police. This is the best this system has to offer? Man, forget fiat cash. Let's do cryptocurrency. Maybe we can make something else viable. Wait a minute, this is the best the system has to offer? Let's figure out how to have land on our own. Wait a minute, this is the best the system has to offer? Maybe we need to vote some people in that are literally going to try to kill this from the inside out. That's what we're living in right now, is it not? People are realizing that we're in the beast.
That the beast are things with horns on them. What they're actually demons.
Yeah, well, demons, yeah, but this beast is talking about the government. It's talking about like how people try to be over the world, right? But yeah, there can be beasts like that as well. So, but we haven't really studied that stuff as of yet. But yeah, we can talk about some of that in a little bit, okay? But let me finish with the people. But that's a great observation, though. Thank you. I appreciate it. So you have this beast that's torn up all over the place, right? And people are starting to realize, wait a minute, this government and this woman that I've sold out to for a good time is messing us up. We got to tear this thing apart. We got to burn her with fire. We got to live.
Oh, sorry.
We're gonna have to eat her. We're gonna literally eat up her flesh. Right? We're gonna literally have to eat up her flesh. And we're going to leave her naked. We're going to expose her. She'll be exposed by the very people who were doing everything they could to be part of her. This system is being exposed. That's why some of the best books to read on this system, if you want to read some books on the system and stuff, some of the best books to read are books that come from people that used to work for the system. They'll tell you everything. Some of them don't really even care that they did it, but they'll still tell you the truth because they'll become a #1 bookseller, and so they can make some money off of it. Once they realize, hey man, this system is ate up anyway, they'll tear it up. That's why you got to be separated, Israel, because if you're part of the system, what's going to happen to you? If the system's going to be torn up, you're going to be torn up with it. Revelation chapter 17, verse 17 says, "For Elohim hath put in their hearts and their passions to fulfill his will and to agree and to give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of Elohim shall be filled." So it says, look, man, you got you look, his will is going to be fulfilled one way or the other. He's allowing your passions. If you want, be passionate about this beast. Be passionate about this government if you want. Be passionate about this thing that's going to be torn up. But at the end of the day, it's not just going to be hell that you're going to have to deal with. You're going to deal with people who realize that if you're full of you know what, they're going to treat you as somebody who's full of you know what. And they're going to tear you up. Verse 18, "And the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth." The woman that you saw was the great city, right? This Babylonian type city that rules over the kings of the earth. I feel like I skipped over a verse somewhere. Hold on. Okay, I think we got everything. So that's all I really have to say. Yeah, that's all I really have to say for today. I'll start looking at comments and then any questions, comments, or concerns you guys may have before we get ready to take our lead. So public library has lines in front of them. Yeah. Called, chosen, and faithful. Amen. Beast system eating itself. So that'll be part of it. There are going to be people who are going to have enough. There are going to be people in high prominent positions that's going to start tearing this beast up. Right? That's something to start looking for. We see people doing those things. That's part of it. Obviously, we know that there's still going to be some other things that need to happen. So we're only in Revelation 17. We're going to go to chapter 18 tomorrow. 18, 19, 20. 18 and 19 going to make this more clear. 20 is going to deal with that Satan being released. And then all of a sudden, then being thrown to the lake of fire along with hell and all these different places. And then we talk about those who will be judged and in the order of which they'll be judged and all these things. Right? And then we'll take some time for Q&A. In Revelation 21 and 22, we'll finish up. Brother Dennis said hello. Grand rising to you. Who are the 10 horns again? The 10 horns, if you look at those 10 tribes, right, that were with, if you look at those 10 tribes that were there, that 3 of them being killed off by Justinian and Theodore in the 1400s when Rome gave the western half of the Roman Empire to the first pope, the Bishop of Rome. And then they took on the Eastern Roman Empire, and they came back and killed all 3 of the tribes. Those are the 10 tribes. So if you go look those 10 tribes up that were killed off, those will be your 10 tribes, or your 10 horns. But remember, even the 3 horns that are taken away, you got 7 horns that are left. 3 horns have their moment in the sun. They fight against Rome, but then they don't last long. But they went out, like some people say, you went out like a G or whatever. They went out, fighting. They went down fighting. They went down swinging. And then you have the other 7, and you keep looking at these tribes and look at the tribes that still exist, the names of the tribes, the Viscos, things like that, and then look at the names now, the Francs, or the Francais, the Franks, or now France, all these different names that are still here, and look up that all these people had at one point trying to become world powers themselves. Oh, thank you, Breezy. He is great. Minister and I said you're great. Sister Sonia said hello. Said you're her friend. Sister Shima said teach. Sister Shima said teach. Breezy said thanks for letting them talk to me for right now. Alrighty. It's our pleasure to serve. Thank you all for being on with us. Amen. We're going to take our leave too. I don't really have anything else to add. So thank you all so much for being on. Looking through the questions. I think I caught most of these today. Is asking someone to forgive you wrong? No. Is asking someone to forgive you like Elohim would forgive you wrong? No, that's not wrong. I mean, I'm sorry. If I do something wrong, I say, Solomon, can you please forgive me? That's not wrong. If I come to Solomon though and I say, hey, I need you to pray for me. I need to be forgiven for my sins. And that's a bad prayer. He shouldn't pray for that. Right? That's the difference we were talking about with the confession piece earlier. And the website is going to be updated today as far as some of these calendar events as well. So be ready for those. Amen. So thank you all for being on. Thank you for your time, your talent, your gifts, any donations, resources, things you've been given to the kingdom. We appreciate you so much. Keep us in prayer. We will be staying here for the rest of the week, but early next week we'll be getting ready to get on the road. So, be ready for that. Or we'll just pray for us for that, and we'll be somewhere for a couple days, and then we'll be back here. So just keep us in prayer. Looks like we have some updates to make as far as our list. So for those or contact list, so we might have some new information for you guys contact wise. So those who are ready to contact people for us, make sure that you're checking your emails for us. As we're sitting on here, let me make sure that I put our information up again, so for you guys to be able to get it. And don't forget to look up Kofi _44. Not just Kofi _44, but also to look up our Patreon as well. But Kofi _44, as TikTok's already trying to give us issues and stuff, and trying to say that we've done all these bad things, and trying to say that we're racist and stuff like that. They're not affecting the live as much this time, but now they're going after the actual videos that we post. Which all the numbers and stuff have come completely down and crashed down and slowed down, but it's all right. We're going to keep going and doing what we're supposed to do. But check out Kofi _44 when you get a chance on TikTok, so that we'll be able to make a smooth transition if necessary at some point in the future, so that we can continue the lives and not miss a beat. Remember, schedule-wise, we've started our classes: Hebrew characters, basic Hebrew, Sovereignty 1, Sovereignty 2, Natural Medicine 2, basic French, and cryptocurrency. Those classes started this week. So tonight will be Natural Medicine 2 with the Honorable Maya teaching. I'm excited about that. She does an excellent job. Remember, she's a biologist by degree, as well as being a chemist, a healer, and a herbalist. So join us for that. Don't forget that she has the tincture of the month. I don't know what I did with it, but she had just given me. There we go. Here's the tincture of the month. A mucus detox. So if you're interested in getting this mucus detox, feel free to get it. And you can just contact us for further information on it. Don't forget this Friday. We want everybody to please go out into the community and. I'm sorry, this Friday we would like you to go in the community. Every first Friday we try to do so. You don't have to tell us what you're doing, but just go out and be a blessing to somebody as led by the Most High. On Monday, we'll have our Early Riser Bible Study session at 6:30 a.m. At least I'll be on at 6:30 a.m. The teaching will start at 6:45 a.m. Eastern New York time. February 12th, we'll have our next YLP 83 meeting at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time. February 19th, we'll have our next men's meeting at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time. February 26th, we'll have our next women's meeting. I'm sorry, not we. Ladies, you will have your next women's meeting February 26th at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time. March 6th, we will begin to make sure that we take the leaven out of our homes. By April 11th, we need you to make sure that you are ready to... April 11th, April 12th at the latest, be ready to have selected your lamb. If you want to get lamb and stuff from us this year, I need you to know early. Some people say it's just easier to get the lamb and bitter herbs through us, so we don't mind sending it to you. Just let us know in advance if you want to partake in that this year, but we need to know earlier, so that we're not last minute, so that we can get everything to you by April 11th, and hopefully have everything sent to you basically on, send it out April 10th so you can receive it April 11th or April 12th. we're going to start our festivities as far as teaching and scripture and stuff every evening, starting on April 8th. April 15th will be the day of Passover. We're going to come again, together again, April 22nd, on the last day of the week after the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and get together again for a special service. And by April 23rd, we need to know if you want to meet up with us in October 14th through the 16th. We're going to be all coming together physically as one. So if you're going to be coming together for that, let us know by April 23rd. If you tell us you're coming, we need you to be sure you're coming, right? And just to let you know, so the most expensive, we're looking to have it be half this price, but the most expensive we're looking at, this doesn't include, you getting your hotel room, and if you're going to, whatever it costs for you to travel. But the most expensive we're looking at making it on our end is $300 or so, right? Obviously, the more people come, the less it goes down. But even if a bunch of us come, we're looking at trying to make, or even if a few of us come, we're looking at no less than, somewhere around 150, right? There might be some taxable stuff we have to pay, so maybe that raises it a little bit. But, we're looking at 150, but there'll be no more than 300. So that means, if you need to get the hotel 2 days, if you're going to join us, because we're going to get there a day early for setup and just chilling out and relaxing some. So if you want to join us for those things, feel free to. Those dates will be October 14th through the 16th. We do have a place that we're shooting for in mind more than anywhere else, but we're not going to put it out in public yet. So if you'd like to know that information, just simply contact us about it. Contact us about it if you would like more info. But that's all that I have for you all today. Yes, sir.
It's like glitching.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So thank you so much. We have information. If you'd like to get in contact with us, you can look up stuff on the website. We'll have some updates on the calendar today. Thank you so much, everybody, for being on with us. We appreciate you all. As always, once again, check out my wife, the Honorable Maya, at BloomNFlourish, not A&D, but the letter N, BloomNFlourish. You can follow her on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest. You can also check out what she's doing to help the community at ChangingLinesInitiative.org. And we thank you for anything that you're doing to bless us there. If you'd like to be able to do what we're doing and do it somewhere where you are, let us know, and we can start trying to help get you set up as well. But thank you so much. We appreciate it. We give all honor to the Most High as always. And our prayer is not that you just heard this. Study it, read it, meditate on it, and so that you can therefore begin to execute. You can therefore not just be hearers only, doers as well, right? So we thank you. We appreciate you. That's all that I have. As always, it's been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we're always changing lives one mind at a time by being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. Those who want to support us on Patreon, $5 a month gets you 5 minutes minimum and a picture every day, getting you deeper into some things and sometimes letting you a little bit into my life and just some things that I'm doing, but also having some extra word and things that you can listen in as well. And that helps us to do things around the world and within our community as well. So thank you so much. We appreciate you all. As always, remember that you are loved, you are necessary, you are majestic, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, we're going to be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, family, and we'll see you another time. Peace.